Here's my son's Trans Am he brought up from Texas. Going to do a little work on it. My son. Yeah. Alright. So this is a 383 he built himself. It's 11-to-1 compression. It's got the comp cams 294, XR 294 HR, retrofit hydraulic roller, single plane intake. Do you remember where we got that carburetor from? I can't remember where we got that carburetor from, but it works good. But we had a carburetor we built on it, and for some reason that carburetor just did not want to idle right, and the fuel pressure gauge, when this one's hooked up, the fuel pressure gauge goes crazy. I mean, it's just all over the place. But I don't know. That one, fuel pressure gauge stays steady on. I'm thinking the base plate on that one's probably warped or something. I don't know. Here's the inside of it. 1980 Trans Am. Single plane intake. It's got the Pro Max 200cc heads on it. It's a budget built small block Chevy. Our cams for the LT1 versus this one, the cams are pretty much the same size. This one has a little bit less compression, but according to Pro Max's website and then the Lloyd Elliott website, the Pro Max heads flow a little bit better. And that intake, I'm sure, flows better than mine, even though ported LT1 intakes flow pretty good. I would assume that a single plane would flow better. It's got nitrous on it. The rings have been gapped for nitrous, but we can't spray any nitrous yet because it's got a stock mechanical fuel pump on it. And I was just looking up online what the liter per hours on those are, and it's like 110, 115, and it's 6.7. What is the PS? What is the fuel pressure set out on this? 7. It's 7 fuel pressure. That's only good for 500 horsepower, which this motor should be making, I'm guesstimating, anywhere between 450 to 500 at the crank. So that's already the limits of that pump, pretty much. So we're going to run a dedicated fuel cell. On these here, where the rings are gapped, there's a little bit of blow by, so we're going to run some breather catch cans back to either the firewall or the fender. We can find a place to fit it. We had it run down, do the exhaust thing where the exhaust is supposed to pull it out, but that wasn't working too good. Plus, this car does have mufflers on it, and we didn't want oil puddling into mufflers and maybe cause a fire. So, but yeah, we're going to go to, the ignition, the HEI is locked out, and it's got a MSD6AL2 programmable in it. So we're going to be able to mess with the timing easily on the laptop. We're going to go to, it's wintertime here and all the tracks are closed, so we're going to go to a rental and see what it'll run. It's this fairly new motor, and it's not been ran at the drag strip yet, but we had the MSD6AL, and we didn't have that all set up just right. And when we tried to start it, the starter kicked back and knocked the teeth off that brand new SFI rated flex plate. So now it won't start. So I've already ordered a flex plate. It's sitting in my bedroom. So now we're going to have to take the transmission out just to replace the flex plate just to get it to start again, which really sucks. Has a brand new flex plate. I mean, what, a month old? Not even. Yeah. And I mean, it didn't kick back much. I don't feel that it should have broke the teeth. I don't know. It does have one of them high torque starters on it, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna, where the rings are gapped, and this is a completely forged engine. It's got the forged crank, the forged rods, the forged pistons. Piston rings are gapped 2832. So we're going to be able to spray this as much as we want once we get a fuel system on it. We'll run a standalone fuel system for that, and we'll be able to put race gas in that, and then just run the motor on 93. That'd be fine. But we should be able to spray pretty high shots there, and we can just retard the timing with a little bit of a laptop. Make it a lot easier than having to do the timing light and fight with the distributor to get it where we want it. And it's already been set. I think it's what, 34 right now? Yeah. I don't think it's going to want any more than 34 on motor, but we're going to find out. We'll set it to 36 because I know it ain't going to want more than 36. We'll set it at 36 and we'll try a pass, and then we'll back it out 2 degrees and try a pass and see if it gets any faster. If it does, we'll keep backing it out until it, or we could start at 32 and then go up and make sure we check the plug to make sure it's not getting any detonation, but I don't think it'll detonate at 36, 11-to-1 compression with 93 octane with that big cam in there. But yeah, we're going to go to the drag strip Saturday for a rental. We'll get some videos of that, and then we'll see if we can get the LT1 into the 10s on motor and 9s on spray. I ain't going to lie, I'm feeling kind of jittery about spraying that 200 shot off the line with that suspension, because it already raises the wheels off the ground on the motor. So, but I think it's going to raise the front end up pretty good with that 200 shot off the line. I don't know. 620 real world horsepower. I don't know. I've never had a car that had that much power, but this one I have more power though. Once we get the dedicated fuel system on it, we can spray more on it. Mine's got forged pistons, and oh, this is a 4-bolt main too. See, mine's only a 2-bolt main. That helps too. His is fully forged. Mine's forged except for the crank. It's a Scat 9000 crank. So this car right here is going to be able to hold more power than mine is, I think. But plus single plane, get a dual stage nitrous plate there. Mine's kind of limited on the intake. On the LT1 intakes, they say you don't want to spray more than 200 through the front of it. So I'd have to get a fogger kit and everything. Whereas this single plane, it distributes nitrous well. We can just throw a stack plates or throw a 2-stage plate on there and hit it with, I don't know, up to 400 at least. Let's see what it does. Let her eat. There you go. I'll get some more videos when we go to the rental Saturday. Hopefully we can get the flex plate back in it and get it started up and get everything ready. Get the slicks aired up, get the slicks on it. I gotta put the radials on mine. I wanted to drop the lower control arms to the lowest bracket on the relocation bracket and loosen my front end up a little bit just to make sure it hooks on the nitrous. And yeah, get some good videos Saturday at the racetrack. Catch y'all then. Well, we got the flywheel out, flex plate, whatever. We was able to scoot the transmission back a little bit, take the cross member out. Got this little jack holding it. Working on the gravel ground. In the carport garage, I call it. But yeah, we was able to back the transmission up just a little bit just to get it out. Got the other one ready to go in. This car is really solid underneath for being a 40-year-old car. Only bad spots are up here, which really ain't that much. Should be an easy fix. It's like that on the other side too. Just make a little piece of sheet metal for that part and weld it in. The rest of it, I don't know why I got it there, but the rest of it's solid as can be. Then back in the back, we got some cow tracks on this thing. A Ford 9-inch rear end with 355 gears. And that's what we got. We're about to put the flex plate back in here. It won't kick back on us anymore. We got that addressed. So we'll get that in there and see if she fires up again. A little cold-natured. It's cold. She's warmed up now. So we did wind up putting a bigger fuel pump in it, just in case we decided to spray. This is a Holley mechanical fuel pump. It's 110 gallon per hour, which according to the website, should be good to around 900 horsepower with a power adder and a carburetor. And here's the very first pass this motor is made. So here are the time slips from those runs. We had a 7486 jets. The slicks had 18 psi in them, and the time was 34 locked out. I like to DA out my times because that's the only true way to tell, you know, if you're gaining or not. Because if you go on it was like 50 degrees that day we raced. If you go on a 50 degree day, the car's going to be much faster than it is, say, on a 90 degree day. So it's really hard to tell, you know, if the things you've done to the car make it faster or not, unless you DA out the times. Because say I do some things that make the car faster, but I go in 90 degree weather, the car's still going to be slower. But if I DA it out, it'll show that it did in fact go faster. But anyway, this is what we had to start with. 7486 jets, 18 psi, 34 degrees locked out. I ran a 1218 at 111, which ain't that bad. I figured we'd get into the 11s, and we actually came close after some jet changes. But the first time I ever ran the LT1 at the track, it only ran a 12.1 to a 12.3, I believe. And then I was able to get it in the low 11s after some tuning and some tweaks here and there. But that's the first pass. DA corrected 12.12. Here's the second pass. Oh, my nose itches. Second pass is again 7486 jets, 18 psi, 34 locked out. We ran a DA corrected 12.10, 12.17 at 109 actual. And then my nose won't stop itching. On this pass, I actually ran a DA corrected 1199. We got a little better 60 foot there. He was doing first gear burnouts. Need to get him up to second gear and do a second gear burnout. Get some more speed in the tire, get a little more heat in it. And we'll definitely try that next time we go. Then we started adding some jet sizes. And the car did start going faster. So 77, 86 jets. The 60 foot's a little low. Spun a little on that one. But the mile per hour did go up. And then we added some more jets, 79, 86, 79 front, 86 back. And still 18 psi fuel or pressure in the tires, 34 locked. And it ran a 1206 at 112, which was a DA corrected 1197. That DA corrected mile per hour, I must have wrote that wrong, because that's about what it ran. But anyway, it picked up with the jets, the bigger jets, and then we put even more jet in it. 81, 86, and we did drop the tire pressure a little bit more, see if it's 60 better, but I think he just needs to do a second gear burnout. He was leaving it in first gear for the burnout. But anyway, this time it even got faster. It ran at 1205 at 113, which is a DA corrected 1198 at 114. So I'm not really sure. It's been a long time since I messed with carburetors, but the approach we was going to try to take was to keep jetting it up until the mile per hour fell off and the ET fell off, and then put it back down. And then I was going to start messing with the timing, try to put it at 36, maybe even 38, or even lower it to 32 and see if it picked up. But if y'all have a better way I should approach that, definitely please tell me. But there we go. And then I'll show you some of the LT1 passes since it's had the dyno tune.
Oh, and another thing, we wasn't able to spray it at the track because this little circled red piece here that you put the our purge in, it's got a hole in both sides, and we did not block the hole in the other side. We forgot to block that part, so when we turned the nitrous on, it just shot out the other holes. So that's one of the reasons why we wasn't able to spray it. Plus, we didn't get it exactly where we wanted to on motor anyway, and we kind of ran out of time, so we didn't spray that. But I did spray the LT1 one time, and you'll see that here in a little bit. Here are a couple of motor passes, and then the third one is the nitrous pass. And this is the nitrous pass. I have the lower control arms with relocation brackets that only have the 2 holes in them. I did have them in the top hole for motor passes, but for this, I did put them in the lower hole to help with traction with the nitrous. But I have the single adjustable coilovers on the front, and I meant to lower those to the lower setting so it would help with the traction, but I forgot to do that, and they are set pretty tight for the motor passes. But it spun real bad. It spun so much that it actually wheel hopped, and almost to the point to where I almost let off the throttle because wheel hop is really bad on the drivetrain. But it stopped wheel hopping. I did stay in it, but something else that happened on the 2-3 shift is it almost felt like the nitrous cut off. But looking at the logs, I come to find out that the torque management on the LS computers kicked in. It stayed on for a second, 1.19 seconds. So that affected my times pretty bad. And I got with the guy that tunes the car, and he took that out for me. So we're not going to use any torque management at all. And I'm excited to see how much of a difference that's going to make on motor and on nitrous the next time I go back to the track. It's supposed to be kind of rough on the transmission to do that, but the LT1 computer that I had in it didn't have that torque management stuff. So if you had the car set at 36 degrees, it shifted and stayed 36 degrees throughout the shift. And when you turn on the torque management, that's what it does. But the torque, when you turn it off, that's what it does. It leaves it at the timing you have it set at, even through the shifts. But when it's turned on, it lowers the timing through the shift, you know, to help the transmission stay alive. But it pulled, I think it was at like 6 degrees timing throughout this 2-3 shift for 1.19 seconds. So I'm sure that affected my time some. But here's the video of the nitrous pass.
Okay, so here's what the LT1 ran on motor. This is pretty much what it runs. If anything, it might be a little bit slower, but it's a flex fuel tune, and the 85 wasn't as good as it was when I was running at my local track. At 0DA, I had some good E85 in there, but this winter's blend, it's only around E77. But anyway, DA corrected 1127, 1133, 1.63, 60 foot on that one. The car wasn't all the way up to temp either, so when it's not all the way up to temp, it pulls a little bit of timing. So the next pass was exactly what it ran before the dyno tune, but I'm still glad I got the dyno tune because, like I said, I'm flex fuel now. So I drove it an hour and a half back from the track on 93 gas. The tank was about empty on the 85. I threw some 93 in there and drove an hour and a half home. It did perfect. But 11:12 at 122 is my best actual pass. But that was at my local track right here where I live, and the DA was really, really low. If it was 0 to 200, and the DA here was 6 to 800. But anyway, 11:16 at 121, DA corrected. 11:24 at 120 actual. Really good 60 foot, 155 on motor. And then here's another motor pass. I only made 4 passes total. 157.60, 11:31 at 121, which is a DA corrected 11:21 at 121. And then here's the nitrous pass. The 60 ain't a whole lot better than what it does on motor, but that's actually my best 60 ever. 1.48, 10:45 at 130, and that's my fastest trap ever. I've ran a little bit faster on nitrous. If you see in some of my other videos, it ran at 10:38 something on a tune that I had put together. But a DA corrected 10:37 at 131. And like I said, with the torque management kicking in over a second, that should make a big difference. Plus, I need to get the spinning issue resolved. I'm sure I can loosen up the front end with those single adjustables, and that should help a lot. And I think I can even get a better 60, which will make for a better time. But all the tracks are closed, and hopefully we can we'll do all that next year and get out early for next year, and get a good time on the nitrous motor. And I think I need a little bit looser stall converter, and then also loosening up the front shocks, and then looser stall converter, loosen up the front shocks, and then taking that torque management out of there. I think that's going to make a big difference. And then on my son's car, when we tried to set the lifters on that thing, for some reason they acted like solid lifters, and they were kind of difficult to set. So I'm going to use a compression tester, and I'm going to go back through those and make sure that none of the lifters are set too tight. Use a compression tester and make sure all the cylinders are getting the same amount of compression. And if they're not, then try to back off some of the valves and see if that corrects it. And then after that, then there's a guy around here that does dyno tune on carburetor cars. So we're going to take it to him and have him dyno tune it and see what we can get out of it. And then we'll take it back to the track early next year and spray it and do some motor passes on it and see what it does. And then hopefully through the winter I can get the stall out, get it sent in, get it redone, get it reflashed, let it stall a little bit more, and do some work on some floor pans, maybe put in some roll bars, and just do some other things over the winter to get them ready for next year, and hopefully get them quicker. And as I do that stuff, I'll make videos. Catch y'all later.